Thank you again, Jeju National University and Jeju Education Office and Professor Cole for organizing this 17th Peace Island Forum. This has really been an enriching day. Thank you, and thank you for those of you who have stayed for this final session. This is my 5th trip to Jeju, and I've kind of been drawn to study these sites of profound suffering, from Hiroshima, Nagasaki, massacres at My Lai in Vietnam, and Nogun-ri also in Korea. And this topic of planetary consciousness is really kind of the side of these profound sites of profound suffering that has to do with the sacredness of it and the way in which this embraces the process of healing. So this session about Jeju's path toward healing is very timely and very necessary right now. On one hand, the global divisiveness and tensions that we are seeing every day really threaten the achievement of real healing here in Jeju. But at the same time, we are witnessing individual and collective awakening to planetary consciousness, which is bringing on personal and social healing and the restoration of dignity following mass suffering like here in Jeju. So in this talk, what I wanted to do was to clarify what is the rise of planetary consciousness, how we as individuals and as collectively, as a human species, are waking up to it, learning about it, and are choosing to cultivate that. And I explore how planetary consciousness develops using these several social, psychological models, and use examples of Jeju 4-3 survivor witness stories and of other observers, as well as the results of my own 19-month peace pilgrimage. For me, learning about planetary consciousness emerged out of that rather accidental peace pilgrimage experience. In spring of 2015, I received a mysterious transmission which came as a voice from the universe. It was a spiritual call to pilgrimage. Through the journeying and concurrent research, I glimpsed both aspects of the title of this paper, planetary consciousness first, and then the psychosocial processes for social healing and reconciliation. The meaning of planetary consciousness was the first mystery to be solved in the call to pilgrimage. You see, 2015 was historically significant because this was the 70th anniversary of the symbolic birth of the nuclear age mindset. August 6, 1945 is a milestone date for humanity and planet Earth. When we publicly witnessed the first atomic bomb, the world was changed forever. The nuclear age mindset is about us, humanity, coming to realize our own capacity for unthinkable violence, massive destruction, and unconscionable cruelty. We demonstrated to ourselves beyond denial or doubt, we have the technology, the capability, and even the inclination to destroy all humanity, planetary ecosystem, and society. But paradoxically, this awareness of human capacity and technology to obliterate humanity, the planet, and society is the corollary to planetary consciousness. On the flip side of this nuclear age mindset, we also have an inkling that we can save humanity, the planet, and society from destruction. We have the imagination, the creativity, and the motivation to affirm and uplift all three. This is the awakening of collective planetary consciousness. Planetary consciousness then might be defined as the awareness that everything is profoundly connected. All of humanity, all of nature, and all the energies in the universe, where everything has meaning beneath what appears. It is an awareness that changes how you think and who you are. It is a present-mindedness that embraces the rational, logical, scientific, analytical, as well as the intuitive, emotional, spiritual, and aesthetic dimensions which are embodied and deeply grounded. For many, including myself, the call to pilgrimage stems from deep yearnings in the aftermath of mass suffering, like Jeju 4.3, to reconnect with divinity and to bring wholeness to self. Ye-Jin Lee describes the depth of persistent pain and suffering known as Han. Pain from the horrific Jeju 4.3 massacre persists over generations. Han cannot be explained with mere words of sadness, grudge, resentment, or hatred. It is a collective, indescribable feeling. The more you try to bury the painful memories, the more Han grows deep in your soul. The experience of Han is a good example of the first stage of the 3 psychosocial development models explained in that chart and in the article. Social psychological models like transformative learning theory and radical forgiveness explain the developmental process that individuals or groups may journey through in the aftermath of witnessing, surviving, or just learning about mass suffering like Jeju 4.3. They describe the psychological and social developmental process toward planetary consciousness and personal or collective healing. In step 1 on the 3 models involved disorienting dilemma, an event in which your values and beliefs are challenged. For survivors and witnesses of Jeju 4.3, the raw experiences and repeated replaying of traumas in memory compound everything. Disorienting dilemmas grow into Han and post-traumatic stress syndrome, PTSD. An example of this is Korean university students are shocked and angry when they learn about Jeju 4.3, when they find out they didn't learn about Jeju 4.3 in their high schools. Bishop Peter Khan, who's here, recounted his distress. Before I came over to Jeju, he says, I was absolutely ignorant of the background and concrete outcomes of the incident. I felt very sorry and guilty that we lived without any knowledge and conscience about our neighbor's tragedy. In the second stage, one explores how the disorienting dilemma is made up, and you question yourself and you deconstruct your long-held values, your identity, how you say who you are, and core beliefs, and even the ways in which you think. It involves feeling the pain, which usually arises as a result of telling the stories that you experienced in step 1. The opportunity for expressing the painful emotions may not have been possible for many during the period of suppression and silencing of the Jeju 4.3 events. Dr. Im described her father's cathartic outpouring of feelings and detailed drawings from the memory of Jeju 4.3 experiences as a case study to heal Jeju people suffering with trauma. Stage 3 involves reframing and restructuring the beliefs and ways of thinking. Instead of seeing the situation as a tragedy or yourself as a victim, we are willing to consider the possibility that there may be a deeper meaning behind what happened. We come to know what happened to make us feel victimized was essential to our growth. Colin Tippin explains, it is a matter of giving up the need to figure out and surrendering to the idea that the gift is contained in the situation, whether we know it or not. Kenneth MacLeod tells about his father-in-law, a Jeju survivor, whose own father was murdered. His father-in-law was filled with bitterness and nightmares for decades. But his entire outlook changed when Kenneth and his wife presented his father-in-law with their first grandchild. If the stage 4 process is complete, then there's a shift in consciousness which can alter one's way of being in the world. And this is something that actually takes years or even decades to do this kind of integration. But at that point, you become a catalyst for transformative learning in other people. It's like what the Zen master Taitsu Kono said, "When I change, the whole world changes." Reflecting on this transformative learning process, again, Bishop Kang highlighted his commitment to spread his learning to others. He declares Jeju 4.3 to be an unforgettable, inhumane crime which must never be repeated in the future under any circumstances. He says, "It is my personal experience that I am called to testify this reflection to as many people as possible. I believe God took me to the island of Jeju to proclaim the history of this deplorable tragedy." So both Hiroshima and Jeju and other places are these places of profound suffering, as well as deeply sacred space, where planetary consciousness opens to the grace of real peace, the opportunity for individual and collective healing from Han, reconciliation and restoration of justice and dignity and humanity. In Hiroshima's experience, it was 1947, 2 years after the bomb. This is the 70th anniversary. The then mayor, Shinzo Hamai, announced the first Hiroshima Declaration of Peace, in which a revolution of thought for a culture of peace would arise as the central theme. The declaration stated, on August 6, 1945, Hiroshima turned into a city of death and darkness. But now mankind shall remember August 6 as the day that brought the chance for world peace. We commemorate that day with a festival of peace despite limitless sorrow. When we can come to know the most bitter experience and misery of war, when we can lean into that pain, the Han, and know that as ours too, we feel in community, we feel solidarity with all who suffer. We come to know and feel wounds now shared, recognition of our mutual fragility, connected community. This is our sacred humanity. This is the grace of real peace. Hiroshima City was transformed into a sacred site where affirmation, compassion, and gratitude would grace everyone. This revolution in thinking opens the way for individual and collective healing, reconciliation, and the restoration of dignity alongside the limitless sorrow and continuing suffering. There is a parallel transformation in post-Jeju 4.3. The work of the National 4.3 Committee of 2000, the 2005 Truth and Reconciliation Commission, President Roh Moo-hyun's apology, the construction of Jeju 4.3 Memorial Park and Museum. These are all important steps. Will Jeju Province, like Hiroshima City, come to see its milestone dates, March 1, 1947, April 3, 1948, as signaling the opportunity for world peace? Indeed, right here, right now, at this 17th Peace Island Forum, the 98th anniversary of the independence movement of 1919, the 70th anniversary of the 1947 Jeju movement, Jeju, like Hiroshima, is choosing to commemorate these dates despite limitless sorrow. This is a significant step. Dignity is restored, sacred energies and healing processes are recognized across Jeju, and through the events like this forum, spreading throughout Korea and around the world. Thank you.